Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and there's so much to talk about, so I'm going to get it going. Ripple XRP is the SEC driving a secret agenda to help BlackRock and other industry giants enter the industry. Of course they are. That's exactly what this is all about. But I've got it all laid out here, exactly what's going on and exactly what they've been up to. And it's not just the SEC. I don't think it's fair to just point at them. The CFTC has been involved with them from the very beginning too. Now I wanted to show this. I'm not going to go in depth into this, but this was a CoinDesk article. XRP Ledger proposes cross-chain bridge to increase network and token utility. Then let's go to this. This is Brooks Entwistle right here from Ripple.
In your view, does Asia have the ability to have more digital transformation policy impact than the U.S.?
I think it's a great opportunity to lead from a regulatory standpoint. Absolutely. I think that's one of the beauties of regulatory impact and regulatory innovation or leadership can happen anywhere. And that's where we've got to build around that. And as we talked about earlier, make sure it interacts with regulators that are willing to interact with us and help that journey along the way. And so, I'm a believer in cover, and I have responsibility for, each of our regions around the world on the customer front. So I'm neutral from that perspective. And there's lots of great opportunities elsewhere in the world. We happen to be connecting today in Asia, and it does happen to be on the fintech and blockchain and crypto side. I think the fastest growing, most innovative place in the world.
All right. Now I can't stress this enough. There's a reason. This is the video I put out yesterday that I showed you. There's a reason that this Lowell Ness video has been viewed 56,000 times. Hear it again.
My playbook these days, in fact, honestly, ever since I sat across from Bill Hinman and he sort of said, we're going to accept your proposal to give some guidance here, I stopped giving guidance. I said, let's be consistent with the SEC's hand wave approach here.
The reason they stopped giving guidance is because all they were trying to do was get Bitcoin and Ethereum out from under securities laws. Then their job was done. From that time until today, because he and Bill Hinman and a group of attorneys and people from Andreessen Horowitz and whoever, Union Square Ventures, Consensus, whoever, because they decided to sit in a room and Bill Hinman agreed that he would give a speech, and then later on, by the way, that Andreessen's Horowitz attorney right there, by the way, Bill Hinman would then go on after the SEC to become a partner at Andreessen Horowitz, go figure. And look, this is a picture of Gary beside that guy, Lowell Ness, and that's the one, Daniel Gorfine, I believe, from the CFTC, all right? Well, because they did that, all of crypto has been held hostage for all these years. Only Bitcoin and Ethereum have had this fake regulatory certainty. And by the way, I do mean fake, and I mean it for both of them. Bitcoin, all of these people know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. It's insulting for you to hear that Homeland Security met with the 4 Satoshis on video. They said it, and to think that these guys said, "Oh, well, we're going to put the CFTC and the SEC, we're going to put that all on the line," not knowing whether North Korea created Bitcoin or some terrorist group created Bitcoin. We're going to put our reputations and all of that on the line, and we're just going to take a chance here, and we're going to give Bitcoin regulatory clarity, not knowing who this Satoshi is. Does that make any freaking sense to anybody out there? No, it does not, because they've all known. They all know. They know they know. This is all one big farce. So what they did is, and by the way, it's important, and I wanted to make sure I put this out there. It's important for you to remember that Bill Hinman, in his deposition, and the SEC backed him up. They said that this was his personal opinion. Now you have Lowell Ness saying that he sat across from the table from Bill Hinman, and Bill Hinman said, yeah, we're going to use this as guidance. We're going to accept your proposal, okay? So it was all a lie, and they lied in court. Where are their repercussions here? First of all, now, what you're looking at, this is a guy named Michael Burnham. This is from about 3 months ago. He's a partner at this law firm right here. And he's on stage with David Hirsch, who's the chief crypto assets and cyber unit of the SEC. He makes the point here, and this is an important point for you all to understand, folks. Just because Ripple, let's say this thing ends favorably for Ripple, that doesn't mean that Gary Gensler and the SEC are just, oh, okay, we got this ruling. Remember, the judge said they have no faithful allegiance to the law. So even if there's a judgment, and even if this thing is it's determined that XRP, all they're going to do is hold their hands up and say, oh, well, this is facts and circumstance based. And they're going to continue to pick off whoever they decide to pick off, whether it's Cardano or anybody else. And listen to what he says here.
And so the two cases I'd focus on in that regard, because they spill over in so many different ways, are the recently decided library case and the maybe soon to be decided Ripple case. They're related in the sense that we're still asking what's a security. I wouldn't overplay one being relevant to the other. I think the judge took a very fact-specific approach in library, and I think, frankly, the judge will take a fact-specific case in Ripple, because I think that's what the SEC is asking everybody to do and saying, we're going to look at your specific facts. Other than maybe Bitcoin, there aren't a lot of specific factual circumstances that have yet publicly passed the SEC test. But I think each of these cases does provide us with clues of maybe where we're going to land on more clarity of where the public can say, here are some indicia of what ultimately will pass muster. In library, you saw, and this helps us advise clients on the front end, the judge took a very close look at what the company was saying early on in describing its own investment. And I think that's going to happen in any case. That's not going to be the end, but you're going to have trouble walking back comments about something looking like an investment contract if you later want to prove it's not an investment contract. In the library, we also had the notice argument that the public wasn't on notice of really what was a security. We have a similar argument in Ripple. I think we have different facts and certainly a different factual record there. And maybe if the judge decides on that ground, it may have I need to find a better word for ripple effect there, but some spillover effect. But I don't think a judge coming out in Ripple and deciding one way or the other is going to signal to everybody the fight is over. I don't imagine you, David, are going to say, never mind, we're not going after any tokens anymore. And I don't think the other side is, the defense bar is going to take the opposite position. But I do think that how library was decided and how Ripple will be decided will continue to educate us on how we can approach the SEC on what factors, what specific facts get us a little bit closer or further away from what's an investment contract.
So think about how this is unfolded. So you get one conflicted guy, or maybe more than one, Jay Clayton, Bill Hinman, who's at the SEC, and you get them to say, oh, well, we think Ethereum, setting aside the fundraising, in other words, we're going to set aside the fundraising, so we're going to take off the table any idea that Ethereum could be threatened by an SEC lawsuit, and we're just going to give Bitcoin, and we're also going to take off the table that maybe we do know who Satoshi is, and maybe Homeland Security does know who Satoshi is. That way we'll take off the table that there's a common enterprise there. Then we'll just take these two out from under securities laws. We'll give them a monopoly, okay, regulatory monopoly, which is what exists to this day. Then we're positioned to go after anybody we want to, because we're not going to give them any clarity. We'll just pick and choose who we go after, and we can do it based on anything we want to, because this is facts and circumstances. And guess what? We'll find you out the wazoo. Even if you're right, doesn't matter, because we've seen that they're willing to go to court and lie to achieve their ends. The judge said this, not me. They're willing to go to court and lie while they make companies like Ripple and all these companies pay millions and millions of dollars to defend themselves, while you have a regulatory agency who's willing to go in there and lie while they force all these people to spend money. Is that an agency that is there to protect investors? That is an agency that has become a mafia, is what that is. This thing needs to be taken apart. So this guy was asking John Deaton, he says, question regarding the case from an impartial, if the SEC offered a settlement, pay a fine, future XRP sales not securities, and no release of Hinman emails, How would you advise Ripple? If the SEC agreed in writing ongoing and future sales of XRP by Ripple are not sales and securities, and also agreed that secondary market sales of XRP by any person or entity exchanges will not be sales of securities, I'm confident 10 out of 10 lawyers advise settlement. The belief that Ripple wouldn't settle because it would fight for all of crypto is silly. In the above scenario, Brad Garlinghouse, Stuart Alderati, Ripple board must settle because they act as fiduciaries to shareholders. If they didn't settle and lost, they would be in litigation for decades. In other words, Ripple is not responsible for all of the crypto industry, and I believe that that's why Charles Hoskinson was angry. I believe that's why he said that a Ripple settlement could have catastrophic implications. I believe he heard something to the effect that Ripple was going to settle, and Charles Hoskinson is now seeing the writing on the wall, and that is the setup is that everybody except for Bitcoin and Ethereum has to have a lawsuit to get through the door. I believe that that's why he's so flustered. I believe that's what it was about. I believe that's why he lost his temper with the XRP community or whatever you want to call it. Then we've got Empower Oversight. They're supporting the motion to unseal the Hinman documents related to SEC crypto conflicts of interest. That was what Rosalind Layton did the other day. And then there's this. This is, they don't say who it is, but let's see if it shows.
Okay. In other cases, it is a tough calculus. I think companies and individuals should fight more. They need to fight more. The law needs to be made by judges, not by speeches. Not by papers, not by settlements. Needs to be made by Article 3 judges and appellate courts as well, and the Supreme Court.
All right. And then here's John Deaton. He was on, I don't know what this guy's show's called. I'll find out.
Why do you think that the SEC is being this way? Why so contentious? Is it just because they're trying to get this early land grab from a legal position, or do you think there's something else afoot here?
I think that you have, you could go back on, and I have it on my Crypto Law channel. You have Gary Gensler at MIT, Paul, where he's talked about the monopolistic nature of the banking system and how any disruptive technology has to meet the fight by the incumbents. And so, yes, part of it is this land grab, right? The SEC wants this nascent technology and they want to take jurisdiction. So, they're like basically filing all these enforcement actions. But I honestly believe that Gary Gensler is an agent for the incumbent system. And I believe he's protecting the incumbents. Yeah. We use his own words against him. And I went on Charles Payne's show on Fox Business and I said, listen, what's happening here is that at some point they're trying to crush this market, and then these legacy incumbent players will come in, they'll get a bigger share, and then all of a sudden when BlackRock, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan, they got a much bigger grasp of it, then all of a sudden they'll loosen the reins, and then they'll come together and there'll be some kind of guidance. I believe in my heart.
You can see it very clearly, folks. What are the incumbents? What have they all been pushing? Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin, Ethereum. Look at Fidelity. Fidelity didn't list XRP. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin and Ethereum. ErisX. Bitcoin and Ethereum. All of it's been Bitcoin and Ethereum. Backed Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you can see very clearly what they wanted to do. Create a monopoly for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Hold off all of the industry participants. Go after not just the people that are trying to create tokens, but also the exchanges. So what do? You hand all of it off, a Bitcoin Ethereum monopoly off to Wall Street. Then Wall Street works on their custody behind the scenes and they start opening up shop and they're ready for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay? This is pure corruption, folks. Now, check this out. This goes to the exchanges. They know that there's no way. What did I do here? Did I accidentally? What did I do here? I thought I had I don't know what happened right here. Let me go. Oh, I know what I did. It looks like what I did was I edited the video. I was editing some wording in here. And when I did, it went from a video to a still shot. I don't know how that happened. I'll have to go and fix that. But anyway, the bottom line is, this is David Hirsch from the SEC, and they're basically, in this clip, they're sitting there talking about how there is, there's going to be some opportunities for people. A guy asks him, basically says, well, how do I register? Where can if I register, where's my token going to trade? And the SEC guy's basically like, well, him and hawing, and then basically comes out with, well, we think there's going to be some opportunities. In other words, we think we're going to open up the opportunities to Wall Street to be who trades your NFTs and your securities and all that. That's what it's always been about. Now, I'm going to finish here. TechWire Asia, Ripple predicts that 2023 will be the year of the NFT as they increasingly unlock real-world use cases. I want to make this point right here. Remember how I'm always talking about the cartoon monkeys and all that, and how that's never been my thing? I would never get into that. Well, I stand by my statement. I believe that the cartoon monkeys and all that stuff was just the prototype. Ripple's telling you right here what they predict. They predict that in 2023, it will be the year of the NFT, and not the NFT in terms of cartoon monkeys, folks, but as they increasingly unlock real-world use cases. As NFTs continue to gain mainstream acceptance, the company anticipates gaining a clearer understanding of their practical applications, such as in art collectibles or gaming. They also foresee real estate and carbon market NFTs gaining more popularity due to their potential to address real-world issues such as improving operational efficiency and providing greater transparency and ownership confirmation. That's when you're going to see me buying NFTs, is when it's actually tied to real-world assets. Then I'm in. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family cartoon monkeys are not for me, but real world assets are.